Imagine waking up to the sound of rushing water. It's 3 a.m., it's pitch black, and the river your camp is built next to has just violently breached its banks. You have seconds. You grab your family, scramble up the nearest rocky hill, and watch as the freezing water wipes your entire existence off the map. In the modern world, losing everything means dealing with insurance claims, maxed out credit cards, and sleeping on your brother-in-law's terrible futon. But what did losing everything actually mean 50,000 years ago? When the sun comes up, you're standing in the mud. Your fire is dead. Your shelter is gone. Your tools are at the bottom of the river. You have no backup supplies, no emergency services to call, and definitely no outdoor retail store to buy a new survival knife. You possess exactly what is currently attached to your body. If you took a modern human and dropped them into this exact scenario, their chances of living through the week are close to zero. But for an ancient human, this wasn't an apocalyptic end. It was just a really, really bad Tuesday. By the end of this video, you're going to realize that the ultimate ancient survival tool wasn't a spear or a flint knife or even fire. The real backup system was something completely invisible, and it's the exact reason our species is still here today. So, the water recedes and you are officially starting from scratch. What do you do in the first hour? You triage. First, people. Is everyone here? Yes. Good. Second, core temperature. You are soaking wet, and a wet human body loses heat up to 25 times faster than a dry one. You need warmth, you need clean water, and you need a cutting tool to make everything else happen. Now, the average person assumes a caveman would just grunt, pick up a rock, and magically have a knife. But let's look at the reality of replacing a stone tool. Knapping a functional Acheulean hand axe, the Swiss Army knife of the Stone Age, doesn't take days. Modern experimental archaeologists have proven that a skilled knapper can manufacture a complete razor-sharp hand axe in anywhere from 5 to 34 minutes. But there is a massive catch. You can't just smash any two random rocks together. You need specific materials like flint, chert, or obsidian, and a hard hammerstone to shape it. If the flood washed you into a territory with the wrong geological makeup, your tool-making skills are completely useless. Knowing how to make the tool was only half the battle. The other half was the mental map. An ancient human didn't just wander aimlessly, they carried a 3D topographic map in their head. They knew exactly which dry riverbed 3 miles away had the right flint nodules. Within an hour, someone is already walking there. So you have a sharp rock. Great. Now you need fire. Hollywood loves to show ancient people casually rubbing 2 sticks together for 10 seconds until a massive bonfire magically erupts. The reality is far more punishing. Creating a friction fire using a hand drill or bow drill requires bone-dry wood of very specific densities. Under perfect conditions, an experienced primitive skills expert can spin up an ember in 1 to 5 minutes. But you just survived a flood. There are no perfect conditions, everything is soaking wet. This is exactly why ancient humans went to extreme lengths to avoid starting a fire from scratch. Instead, they carefully transported glowing embers wrapped in green leaves or tucked inside slow-burning tinder fungus that could smolder for hours. But today, your embers are drowned. You are now forced to scavenge for dead lower branches from coniferous trees, hoping the canopy above kept the wood underneath dry. You have to carve away the damp exterior with your newly made 15-minute hand axe, build a fireboard, and blister your hands spinning a stick until the friction hits over 800 degrees Fahrenheit. It is exhausting, calorie-draining work. Fire wasn't just a luxury. It was a biological engine that pre-digested food to save energy, and it was a critical shield that kept predators outside the circle of light at night. Losing it was a full-blown, terrifying crisis. Here is where the ancient human differs from us the most. If your house burns down, you are devastated because your wealth is tied to a physical location. For a nomadic hunter-gatherer, wealth wasn't what you owned. Wealth was where you could go. Mobility was their primary defense mechanism. When a local environment collapsed, whether from a flood, a prolonged rainstorm, or a disappearing herd, they didn't sit in the mud and complain. They simply packed up whatever was left and left. The things that couldn't be washed away were the things stored in the group's collective memory. They lost their physical compass, but they kept the mental map. They knew where to find natural rock depressions that filled with clean rainwater. They knew which clays and plants functioned as natural antiseptics to treat injuries. Every time they sat around a fire on a rainy day telling stories, they weren't just passing time. Those stories were a living database of survival knowledge being downloaded into the younger generation's heads. The flood took the hardware, but the software was completely backed up in the minds of the survivors. But here's the final twist. Let's say the flood was truly catastrophic. Your territory is wiped out. You can't find flint. The wood is too wet for a friction fire. Your localized knowledge is suddenly useless because the landscape itself is ruined. Does the ancient human finally die? No, because they had one last piece of technology, and it wasn't made of stone. It was social. hunter-gatherer groups were not isolated bands of wandering hermits. We know from the archaeological record that they moved across vast distances to trade resources like obsidian and seashells, build alliances, and share information. But they weren't just trading rocks, they were trading favors. Anthropologists who study modern foraging societies like the Sand people of the Kalahari document systems like Jaro exchange, a formalized network of gift-giving and mutual obligation between distant groups. These networks act as a massive social insurance policy, a buffer against extreme environmental risk. When your camp washes away and you are freezing and empty-handed, you don't just wander into the wilderness hoping for the best. You walk 30 miles to the neighboring group, the group you traded a perfectly carved tool to 3 years ago, the group whose cousin is married to your uncle. You walk into their camp, and because of the deeply wired human instinct for reciprocity, they share their fire. They share their food. We didn't survive because we were individually the strongest, but because we were the absolute best at cooperating and sharing knowledge across huge distances. An ancient human could lose every physical object they owned and still survive because their true survival system didn't exist in their hands. It existed between them. So the next time you lose your phone, your car breaks down, and you feel like your world is ending, take a deep breath. You are descended from people who could lose literally everything they owned before breakfast and still rebuild humanity by dinner. And they didn't even have coffee.